Yo, what up? What's going on, everybody? J Funk here once again. Here today to talk about the first three Mythic bosses. If you want to know the general more overview of these fights on Heroic and what they do at a basic level, check out my video from yesterday. Today we're looking at the Mythic versions of these bosses. There are some decent differences. On this fight here, this is the first boss, Plexus Sentinel. One of the main differences here you're going to see is that the wall, the intermission, happens in P1 periodically as well. Um, you'll see here I place Transcendence down and I just Transcendence through it. You can Transcendence, you can blink. Um, that's like the main difference in P1. Also, it seemed like the knockback from the group soak was a little bit like heavier, or however you want to say it. Like it knocked you further. What we opt to do here is this person gets the mechanic, the melee soaks it, they get knocked, and then that person moves back into the range, and then they get knocked. You theoretically could have the whole raid soak both, because there's no like debuff or anything. You can just soak as many hits as you can take. We opted to move our tank debuffs in the back left corner and stack them, so we save some space. But you're gonna see the intermission here. The main difference on the intermission is that there are these ads you can see here. There's two ad spawns, and they spawn in set locations, and you need to kill them before the wall reaches them. Otherwise, they will explode and wipe your raid, or just do a ton of damage. You want to kill these as fast as possible, and then get to the end here and make sure here's the wall. You just use your Rescue Wrap like on Heroic, go through it. And then from here on out, it's just rinse, repeat, and it's much similar to Heroic. However, we did end up getting to the end of the fight and seeing the Enrage, which I'll show you here momentarily. Alright, so here's the Enrage. So he'll just cast this Cleanse the Corridor or whatever it's called mechanic, and he'll do it, cleanse the chamber, he'll just do it over and over again. So the Enrage is, he doesn't do intermission from this point. He'll just keep spawning walls. So what you'll want to do is bring him further back towards the entrance so you can actually deal with these if damage is a problem. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool that his Enrage is kind of clever. He just kind of shoots walls at you constantly. That's the main differences for this fight. The ad spawns are set for the Mythic mechanic. They are set. So if there's a Windwalker, I was able to put Transcendence down and go through it. Also, there's another thing I want to show you in this fight as well. Hold on. Sorry for the scrappy editing. I'm just doing this in OBS real quick. Anyway, one thing is for these balls, normally they knock you back, but the knockback from the orbs have a cooldown. So as a monk, you can just roll and then dash through it and get through it effortlessly to get to these ads really quickly. You can also use your Rescue Wraps and go through it as well, but you want to make sure that you have your Rescue Wrap up for when this wall happens or you'll die. So you can position yourself to like kind of do a 2-for-1 where you go through an orb and the wall at the same time for added value if you want. But that really covers it for Plexus Sentinel on Mythic. Now we'll move on to the second boss, Loom'ithar. Alright, this is Loom'ithar on Mythic. Main differences on this fight, she still does layer weaving like she did in Heroic, but now she'll spawn 2 rings back to back. So you have to, there's 2 tank mechanics, so you need to hit 2 things, and usually we're trying to hit ones that were close to each other. I mainly played Conduit on this fight, but I did try out Shadow Pan here because I saw some cool tech where you could fixate your spirits and then cleave the boss and the tangles together. It's really cool. There's also, you can see these pylon things right here, if you can see my cursor. These spawn at set locations, and I think the what pylons will activate is random, but it's basically like the Fallen Avatar mechanic where you intercept the beam before it hits the boss. If it hits the boss, it'll explode onto the raid and do raid damage. And then it applies, when you soak it, it applies a debuff that stacks up over time that does increasing, that makes you take more damage from it. There's about 20 stacks in total, and we noticed that the tanks could probably do it, and then a mage could just solo it. For melee, it's a little bit more awkward because of these rings. You need to get out so before like it closes, so like you won't be able to hit the tangles and help on those. Here I was just testing because someone said that nothing happens if you stand in the middle, but you do end up getting rooted. So I move out. That's like the main changes on Mythic is these pylons that spawn and the 2 rings. It kind of just rinse repeats until phase 2. In phase 2, the tank mechanic is different, where you need to have at least 5 players soak it, otherwise she will get a healing absorb shield, or she'll get an absorb shield based on the damage that it did, I guess, is how it works. And then the other change in phase 2 is that when she does the knockback, it's kind of like a Cauldron of Carnage, where it will put a circle around everyone that's an AoE, so you need to spread after the knockback. And I limit tested for this. For Windwalker, you can always stand in this. You can just diffuse magic and you're fine. Alternatively, if you use Fort Brew and Karma, you will also live. But that one's a little bit more sketchy. But just kind of rinse repeat here until we hit the phase 2. So what phase 2 looks like here. So this is the knockback into the circles. The circles do a pulsing AoE as they're going out, but then also explode at the end of the duration. And this is the tank soak here. So we have to soak the frontal. The frontal doesn't, if people are soaking the frontal like they're supposed to, it doesn't do any damage. Don't actually DR this. That's what I was trying to do. It's a trap. Don't do it. You should be DRing this because it does way more damage, and the healers are getting knocked back, so they can't heal as easily. But that pretty much covers it on Loom'ithar. Not a whole lot changes, but I do actually like the fight on Mythic. It is pretty fun. Alright, lastly, we're looking at Soulbinder Naazindhri. I'll never be able to say that name correctly. On Mythic. So the main differences here on Mythic are that the ads that are in the crystals or whatever you want to call these things, the cages, each cage has like a protective rune on it, and to pop that rune, you need to use the High Veza like mechanic with the orbs, and you need to have the orb hit each ad cage, and then otherwise the ball from the line that usually pops on a heroic won't be able to pop it. So you need to do this first, hit him with the balls, and then you can aim it, and it's the same mechanic otherwise. Then it pops them out. We miss one here, so that kind of sucks, but it's not a huge deal. Overall, it seemed like the fight was maybe, because of testing, it was a little bit undertuned, but the ads didn't seem punishing. Here's the knockback here. The difference on Mythic is that when you land, it spawns a puddle, and this puddle lasts for the entire fight. So, but what we noticed is that overlapping puddles don't do more damage to you, so you could just all stack on the same place and get knocked and save space. But basically, the difference is on Mythic, I guess, is you don't want to get knocked to the place that you want to go. You want to get knocked to like the side and then move forward into the place you want to go. So here we get 2 ads. As a side note for Windwalker players, this fight is insanely good for Windwalker, I think. It's like a Rick Reverb kind of damage profile thing where your lightning always lines up and you want to play 2-minute Shadow Pan, and it's a lot of damage. It's pretty great. Important note about the puddle spawn. If he is a Windwalker, if you do like a dash or anything, the puddle will still spawn. It always spawns where you land. Let's say you're a mage and you blink it, it'll just spawn where you blinked. But other than that, the fight is pretty similar. The ads do have more abilities. So the mages, when you interrupt the mages, their cast time of their ability is less. The assassins have this circle mechanic that you want to move out with because it puts a dot on everyone that gets hit. And then I think the tank guys do an extra thing as well. I think they get increasing damage over time as they're alive. But as you see here, the ads spawn right around the 2-minute mark. And once they're all in, we lust here. I don't think you need to do this, honestly, but we lust here. And it kind of just deletes all the ads because they don't really do a whole lot. But it's really good. I got bad RNG here because I didn't get Shadow and first, and so my damage is a little bit less than it was on previous pulls. But that's pretty much the fight. It just rinse repeats and does this again, and then the boss dies. Much like Heroic, it doesn't do a whole lot, but I still think the fight is mostly okay. I just think they need to maybe buff the ads a little bit in terms of their mechanics mattering a little bit more. But that pretty much covers the first 3 bosses on Mythic. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm addressing the last 4 bosses. I'll be making a video of that as well, so tune into that if you want to see that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.